Hello again, everyone. Welcome to the February 7th edition of Carry Your Cross. Again, I'm so thankful that you have chosen to tune in today, and I'm always glad to be with you and know that you're watching. This past week, I read a story that just kind of affected me in a very positive way. I was reading in Our Daily Bread, and the story goes like this. There was a rich man who was disturbed to find a fisherman sitting lazily beside his boat that was docked in the marina. And the rich man was trying to figure out why the fisherman wasn't out on the water fishing. So he asked, "Why aren't you out there doing that? Why aren't you out there fishing?" "Because I've caught enough fish for today," said the fisherman. "So why don't you catch more fish than you need?" said the rich man, or asked the rich man. And the fisherman said, "Well, what would I do with more fish that I, might possibly need?" And he says, "Well, you could earn more money." The rich man said, "You could buy a better boat. You could go out deeper and catch bigger fish. And then you could purchase nets and catch even more fish, make even more money. And soon you'd have an entire fleet of boats. And then you could be rich like me." And the fisherman, said, "Well, then what would I do?" And the rich man said, "Well, then you could sit down and enjoy life." And to which the fisherman said, "What do you think I'm doing right now?" And it just kind of made me think about contentment. Are we really content with what we have? We live in a world that says that the more you own, I guess, the more wealthy you are, the more popular you are, or you're going to be looked upon with favor from your neighbors or maybe your family. But when is enough enough? And, to be honest, whether we want to admit it to ourselves or not, we always compare ourselves with others, don't we? We look at our neighbor and he has a brand new boat, and then we have to go out and get a boat. Or we see someone down the street, maybe driving a brand new car, and then we want a new car. Or maybe we've lived within our house a number of years and somebody builds one down the street brand new, and then we want a brand new house. And, sometimes that's very taxing upon all of us, because many times we covet what we do not have, and we're envious about what others do have. And this story reminds me that we are called by God to be content with what He has blessed us with. And whether we have a lot or whether we have a little, God most certainly is the one who has blessed us, right? Paul writes in Philippians chapter 4 concerning this same thing. He writes here in verse 11 and 12, he says, "Not that I speak from want, for I have learned to be content in whatever circumstances I am. I know how to get along with humble means, and I also know how to live in prosperity. In any and every circumstance I have learned," now notice the wording here. He says, "I have learned the secret." How do you learn? Well, you learn through experience, do you not? And if you have to learn something, then it would point to the fact that maybe it wasn't there naturally. When we have to learn something, we have to discipline ourselves in order to know that information. Much of the time when we learn, it's based on experience. Rather we read through a book or we go through something, in the midst of our lives. But he says, "I have learned the secret of being filled and going hungry, both of having abundance and suffering need." Paul says, "I've been on the mountaintop and I have walked through the valleys as well. I've had money in the past, and sometimes I've been absolutely broke." But he didn't look at material things. He looked at eternal things. And he looked at the author of life, God himself. Later on in 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 8, look again what Paul writes. He says, if we have food and covering, with these we shall be content. You see, he got it. Paul got it. He understood that it's not about things. It's about being content with what you have already. So today, I just pose the question to you. Are you content with what you have? Are you content with what God has blessed you and your family with? Don't be envious. Don't covet. Just be thankful every day that God has blessed you with the things that he has blessed you with. And I promise, if you will learn, as Paul did, the secret of contentment, then I believe that you're going to be more satisfied in this life as we journey through it and as we one day see Jesus face to face. Until next time, this is Pastor Lane Collins here at Mount Calvary Baptist Church. If you are a believer, I pray that you will continue to carry your cross into this lost and dying world. And if you do not have a relationship with Christ, I pray that you would consider beginning a relationship with him today. Until next time, God bless. I love you.